Hi, I'm Kai for Rollover Play Dead, and I do articles and news and reviews and make games together with my partner Elisha, and we are a little outpost in the Malaysian tabletop gaming scene. So today I'm going to be doing an actual play of Alone Among the Stars by Takuma Okada. And I'm just going to, hang on. Just going to move this here. All right. And I was supposed to say something, and I've sort of forgotten. Okay, so let me start again. Rollover Play Dead is our blog. That's www.rolloverplaydead, roll with an ROLE. And we also have a store where we have a couple of games right now. That's rolloverplaydead.itch.io. We're hoping to add more later. And itch.io is where I've discovered a lot of wonderful indie creators and their games. And one of them is Alone Among the Stars by Takuma Okada. You can find that at noroadhome.itch.io, and there will be a link in the description of the video. So, Alone Among the Stars is a solo role-playing game about exploring fantastic planets. I'm going to be using cards and dice to create these worlds, and I'm going to explore a few planets and talk about them as I go through it. Basically, it says you're a solitary adventurer hopping from planet to planet exploring. Each world has unique features for you to discover and record. They are represented by cards from a standard deck, placed face down. To find a planet, roll a six-sided die and place cards face down equal to the number rolled. To flip over a card to discover something, roll a six-sided die, and you see whether it is arduous to get to, whether you come across something suddenly, or you spot it as you're resting. The suit and rank of the card determine the discovery. So I'm going to go ahead and begin my journey alone among the stars. I'm rolling a six-sided die. It's a 4. So I'm going to place cards face down, 4. I'm beginning my journey on the planet Carmentine, and I'm just emerging now from my vehicle to see what the surface is like. And first card is a 2 of hearts. Hearts are ruins, mysterious obelisks, vine-covered temples, abandoned dwellings for people bigger than you, or a spaceship, etc. So there's some sort of structure here, a huge framework. It looks like it might have been maybe several hundred meters long and 100 meters wide, like a great hall. It is dark now. I'm seeing this under the light of the moons that orbit the planet. Just a dim, white, silvery light shining down from a couple of angles, the 2 nearest, brightest moons, glinting off of they're like girders, criss-crossed grid of girders supported by pillars that make up this this framework that remains of this great structure. Whatever it was huge, and the ground seemed to have pathways leading up to entrances. This was a place where people gathered for work or fellowship or some other activity. The walls are mostly gone now, except for these girders. But here, among the shadows cast in the moonlight, I feel a sense of awe and and a sense of peace. All right. This is the first discovery I've made on, I'm going to say, planet Common Time 4. That's the name of it. And the second thing that I find, I roll a time, as I continue traveling, still under the moonlight, I suddenly come upon plant life. Clubs. It's a two of clubs. Clubs are plants and other immobile forms of life. This is a long cluster of, they look kind of like trees, but they're more silicate. They're like glass branches reaching up to the moonlight. About shoulder high. They're small tree-like things. They're when I look closely at these translucent branches, I can see some movement of fluid. Some movement of fluid along the branches. These are still young and they're still growing. I think that there are more of these structures, more of these plants further along the hills, and I'm going to see more of these as I go. But this is my first encounter with them. Fourth thing that I come across, I roll a 6. So after traveling further up on the hill, I spot it as I'm resting. Down below, there's a field, and it is spades. There are strange rocks protruding from the ground. I think that they may be some sort of natural crystal formation that's grown up out of the dirt and emerging from a vast field, a field of silvery grass-like filaments taller than me. And I go down to the edge of the field, and the filaments seem to just shimmer and part ahead of me as I walk closer to this huge crystal, which I'm going to say it's sort of rhombus shaped, or it might be rhombus shaped if I could see the whole thing under the ground. I carefully sample it as I'm taking samples of the vegetation here in the field as well. I log it. The plant life here is beautiful, and this field seems to be growing around the crystal for some reason. The fourth thing that I come across, later in the day, I'm resting again, and there's some sort of mist drifting from the ground, and I go towards it, and I see that I'm at the edge of a steep canyon now. And down below, there are vents in the sides of the canyon. These mists are coming out, wafting from the rock itself. Chemical analysis reveals that this is a natural process, that there's some geologic process, heat, that is venting steam from caves within this canyon. This planet is still young and active, and somehow as this chasm has opened, it's at the moment venting volcanic steam from some caverns far below. I log it, I make a note. This is a place where we can learn more about what goes on beneath the crust. And that's my exploration of Common Time 4. I'm going to log another journey, another planet. I'm going to place 3 face-down cards. A new log. Moving on from Common Time 4, I have arrived at my next location, Jin. This world is a small, rocky one, and I find when I arrive, the landing site is difficult. The weather is difficult, in fact, and I make a hard landing down on the rocky surface in a hollow between 2 hills, the only flat ground I could find. And then the climb is equally arduous. This first site is arduous to get to, but I'm eager to see it because it is a vast structure, the wreckage of an ancient vessel, a vehicle. It looks like it might have been a ship, but there's not much water here. I suppose that it does rain here now and then, and the water will just trickle down. But once the sea levels were much higher, this was a ship. This was a great ark of some kind with multiple decks big enough to carry a huge population. It sits in a grassy field again. It's a grassy field with brown and green stalks that reach up to the sun. The lower decks of the ship are overgrown now, and as time goes on, I suspect more and more grass will colonize the deck after deck, going all the way up until the whole ship is a vast garden. The second location. Later, as I'm resting, I see more ruins. I'm actually resting on the surface, on the top deck of the ancient ship, and I can see dotted along a nearby river. They look like huts, so I have to journey to see. These are abandoned dwellings. These people were tall, people vested, prepared food or supplies. And around, I can see markings on the ground, well, remains on the ground where once there were some sort of animal pens, the domesticated creatures of some sort. I think I'll have to mark it for an archaeological team to come back. They can dig around and find traces and remains of the people who once lived here. And I want to continue my journey. I have a bit more time left here before I have to move on. The third and final feature that I am looking for. It's been pretty hard to get to. It's been another day, and I'm on the slopes of a volcano now. A volcano. There is animal life here. These creatures stride on many long legs, all meeting in a tiny point where there's some sort of a small, bristly, armored shell. These land crabs, whatever they are, they're moving among the hot rocks on the slope of this volcano. There's an old, now frozen flow The black magma rock yields nutrients that these land crabs need, and these creatures bend their legs down and lower their body to take nibbling bites of the rock, and they move along, stalking among the rocks, going up the slope and down the slope again. I watched them for some time, and I log this for future explorers. That was my second planet, and I'm going to go one more here. Oh, it's a 5. I'm going to place 5 cards. This world was named by explorers who clearly had a problem with mountains and the heights and the rocky and the very mountainous terrain. This world is called Climb Down. The first thing that I come across on Climb Down, this is high on a cliff face. These are some sort of bird-like things that have nested there. I've had to use climbing techniques, and I've had to take my time to carefully make my way up to observe these creatures. So they're birds nesting on a cliff face. They don't have feathers, but their bat-like wings have colorful stripes, blue and green and brown. They're nesting, and these creatures fly far down to the ponds and rivers below and peck at little insect-like arthropods and bring up their catch to feed their young. They're chirping little young, squabbling in the nests, waiting for their parents to come home. Each nest has about 5 to 7 young, fed by the 3 parents that each family unit has. This colony seems to be thriving, and I think they're expanding their way up this cliff, finding new spots for their nests. Next, later, as I am resting, there's an amazing colony of fungus-like life, which I might not have spotted if it had not been for the opening in the ground that led me into this cavern. Deep underground, there are luminescent traces on the walls, and when I shine my light on them, I can see the walls are coated with this lumpy growth. I take a little probe, and the probe goes in quite deep. This huge fungus colony goes on for hundreds of meters down this cavern, and it's all one big organism. I spend some time taking samples and finding variations and little features where there are frills where the spores come out. There are large lumps and spots, possibly to adapt to the topology of the cavern. And this goes on for some distance. I could spend a long time here learning about this organism. The third feature. It's another difficult and arduous journey, but this world has so much life. On the snowy peak of a mountain, I find other creatures. These beings have settled, built burrows on the side of this snowy peak. They catch the wind here with huge flaps under their limbs. They are quadrupeds. They go on all fours, and they have wolf-like. They seem kind of have wolf-like heads, but giant bat-like bodies. They catch the wind under their arms and go gliding off and come back. They seem to know what they're doing, and they are burrow builders. There's a community here. They communicate in short barks. They appear to be omnivores. They eat smaller creatures that live above the snow line. They go down and peck at plants at the tree line and come back up here. The cold sustains them, I think, although I'm not sure how. The fourth thing, I wasn't expecting to see something here. I'm traveling through the conifer-like forest, heading back down towards my vessel, when in a treetop I spot strange balloon-like plants. They appear to be epiphytes, which take advantage of the existing height of the tree to gain a little more altitude. These plants, these creepers are growing up at the top of these conifer trees, and the balloons are not flowers, they're the fruits. They inflate as they grow ripe. And as I watch, one of the fruits fully ripened. The umbilical which connects it to the creeper has rotted away, and this sort of yellowy, balloon-like fruit is lifted off into the wind and makes its journey to another part of the forest, where it will no doubt find a place to land and for its seed to take root and grow again atop some other tree. And my final discovery, and I'm just making my way back and journeying to my landing site, when on another mountain nearby, I see strange curving tree trunk. There are no leaves. There's no growth. It appears to be old and dead. I have to get closer. It looks like a huge, elongated claw, but covered in thick wooden bark. I examine it and I take some samples, and I realize that this is part of a root structure that grows through this mountain. Something huge that has pushed through the rock up to this mountain peak. It's been growing upside down, its roots reaching for the highest point, and I'm not sure why. But I'll have to find out more, and that'll be for another log. That's the end of my exploration today. Alone Among the Stars, it really prompts you to just come up with imagery and think about natural structures, or Left Behind Ruins, or Flora and Fauna. It's kind of peaceful and relaxing. Alone Among the Stars also has a huge number of hacks and other games spawned from the same concept of using these dice and cards, which you can find on itch.io. I believe there's a collection that Takuma Okada has made. It's one of the more popular genres of solo game, and you can use it to journal and do one entry a day. There's a Twitter account that generates these random discoveries. But that's the end of my journey among the stars for now. Next week, I will be doing another game, another solo game from the Folklore Jam, and it's called Night Train. So once again, I'm Kai for Rollover Play Dead. My blog is rolloverplaydead.com, and we're on social media on Twitter, on Instagram, on Pinterest, on Facebook, and we'll be doing more actual plays here on YouTube. In the past, we've done a few one-on-one games, but that was just audio. Now we've got this set up, and I hope the mic and the whole video setup is working all right, and we'll see what else we can do with it. You can look for more information about this game and us in the description down below. Thank you for watching.